This is not a meditation. You don't have to focus your mind on this body of words. You can be comfortable. You probably don't even need to listen to this but once. People tend to say that the ego is going away. It cannot make the journey with you into the fifth dimension, it's true, but neither can your body the way in which it exists right now. I feel that it is important for people who do not understand what is happening to be informed about it simply by the hearing of it. That is how the ego works. It uses what you know as its operating system. You know words as sound. Your ego can easily access the information through this means of communication. Your ego, being the translator of your vortex experiences, uses the belief system that you have chosen as its grammar, or the method by which it translates your experience of every moment of now, which is where you always are, into a body of words that you can understand. It creates dualistic thought through patterns and beliefs that you have chosen as your database, and matches those pieces of information to the emotional, ethical, mental, energetic, and physical responses which have been your own experience in your physical body. It does this because that is its job. That is what it was created to do. It has existed in a dualistic world, and that is its function. There is nothing wrong with your ego. It is functioning beautifully and doing exactly what it is supposed to do. Your ego feeds you all of your thoughts through words. Words like, I like that, I hate this is good or this is bad, all of your thoughts of injustice or justice. I need to be acceptable, I want this, I don't want that. Those are things that your ego has learned to express to you, the actual thinker, by the patterns and beliefs that have been set up through your experience of this incarnation of you only. The ego does not travel through history as you merrily skip from one incarnation to the next one. It doesn't even leave a pattern in the great, massive, universal vortex in which we play, because it is designed to change. It is ever changing. It cannot not change. Your belief system, contained in all of your bodies, changes, and therefore the ego changes. The ego as we wear it today, where we breathe right now, has become obsolete software, and we are now creating a better version we could call EGO2. The ego's wonderful functions of utilizing our beliefs and desires as the translation pattern will evolve from its responsibility in the dualistic lives we lead now into its new responsibilities in a new world as a single unity of all egos. It is so completely different from the I-me ego we wear now that there is really no way to explain it with words. It must first be experienced. But it is real, it's not scary, it's safe, and there is a sentient being alive in love who runs and maintains the software. You may not even realize it as the upgrade happens. That's how beautiful and seamless it is in its operation. Being a brain function, existing only because of your desires, the ego itself is not a physical thing. It cannot be held or touched or seen or smelled. It is the translator of your experiences in your single now incarnation. In other words, it exists only in you. All egos are as different as the individual who taps into the software and uses it. All of them have tried to convince their partner's software that the ego itself is the true beingness of the individual. As you hear this and think to yourself, not mine, no, you are listening to your ego as it speaks up in its own defense, just as you have taught it to do, just as you have supplied the data for use with the software. Doesn't our ego believe that we should speak up for ourselves because we supply data to it through our beliefs? Your ego believes that it is going away disappearing forever into the deep darkness that your brain has taken from the vortex of nothingness, or something that your beliefs might cause it to think of as punishment. It does that because it has been informed of its inability to travel into the light body that we will put on for the next brand spanking new, never been played before level of the universal game of humanity that we are playing and have been playing. It has been incorrectly informed of the upgrade that it is about to receive. You are now informing it through these spoken words, which your ego understands and translates into your thoughts through your set-up patterns of belief. You are informing your ego right now that your belief system is changing, and your ego now does not feel the need to access the information stored from a previous belief to translate it, because it now has a new belief to play with. It cannot even translate for you what has changed until your bodies, all of them, become in accord with the knowledge it receives. Your ego is functioning correctly, because if it tries to translate something that you do not understand, some new emotion, some new fact, you cannot understand it until you are ready. You cannot be ready until all of the bodies contained in your beingness of physicality, your astral body, mental body, and emotional body, along with your physical and energetic, are in alignment with the new facts or information. That is the reason that people seem to fall asleep when new information is presented to them. There is no translation of the information available for the translation, and your ego has been designed in a way that if you don't desire something, it will either make your mind stop thinking altogether, which translates, by way of the ego, to the other bodies as sleep, or it will begin to form thoughts to keep you from going someplace where it cannot yet function. Thousands of thoughts can flow into you in an instant when your ego is open or more universally connected, and that flow of information can either be focused or unfocused. The structure of your dualistic ego is such that its wiring is attached to each body of you. When you expose your mind to new information, it first seeks any information that relates to that new information from inside each of your bodies and attempts to translate it. In the linear past of our incarnations, our energy bodies have been pulled tightly over us. That is the body where the veils or coverings are imposed. Our energy bodies have been severely constricted as informational sources to our egos by these coverings. These coverings created a situation in which our ego could only use the 4 smaller bodies as informational sources. That is no longer the situation. The ego now has an expanded field of information from which it has the ability to access translatable information. Our energy bodies are now expanding rapidly. The veils of constriction that have been pulled so tightly over our existence are disappearing, but we as humans have learned to function so well by our egoic control systems that we continue to use completely outdated software that bogs down the system of the new hardwiring in our light body. Simply by allowing new information of the new wiring to enter the vortex in the section to which the ego has access, we set up the new framework of EGO2. There is really nothing else that you are required to do. Let your ego go about its business of changing, which it is set up to do. It is important to understand the ego's function, because now you can understand that you don't need the old ego to access the information. The new one is already functioning, and if you choose to do so, you can find the information that you desire through the new openings in the vortex. In truth, right now, the EGO2 is functioning without your knowledge of it, but it will not much longer be that way, since the old ego now knows what the new EGO2 knows. In other words, you access the old ego by choice now. Both are functioning very properly, though one functions through fearfulness and one functions through love. Let it go. It's not your job to worry about what the little old ego wants you to. It's only functioning in the only way it can. Now it has information that leads it to learn to understand that the new EGO2 program is the upgrade required by the ego to remain with the new body. The universe has so generously supplied the new software and set it up for us. All you have to do is allow it to function, allow the change. You don't even need to think about the old software. It's being deleted now as the new software becomes functional. Let it go into the new program and be patient. Practice patience. Through patience, you will begin to understand that you are no longer attached to your ego through words. You will begin to draw on things in the vortex and visualize them in patterns before you feel inclined to even put them to words. You will learn to let the patterns flow until you recognize one, and soon you will recognize them all. You will feel them before you find a word to file them under. You will begin to communicate with the outer world in a new way, and it won't even seem different because everything has changed. Congratulations! Your new EGO2 system is now online and functioning normally.